Hi, Aries. All right, happy opposite birthday. Welcome to this place. If you are returning, welcome back. All right, so let's mention a few things before we jump into your cards. Someone has Neptune on the ascendant. So that's kind of a strange bird. It can be very spiritual space. It can be very musical. To me, it's also an attunement, kind of like a tuning fork energy. So the body wants to be more in tune. It wants you to be more in tune with your body, or perhaps you are choosing. Your astrology kind of reaffirms this too, where this is a great time for dietary changes or awareness. I mean, we are shifting seasons. Happy equinox. When we shift seasons, that's interesting. When we shift seasons, then we should shift what we eat, right? Like in autumn, you'd want to be, eating more dried or foods that can preserve themselves, right? Like squash or pumpkin, potatoes, dried pasta, dried meat, dried nuts, things like that are really helpful for the digestive system, which gives us, really how we're digesting things is going to be indicative of our energy. And I also saw this, maybe some of you have this in your map, but I also saw where the Saturn was opposing you. So Saturn, Libra. My phone is doing something so strange. It just keeps going black. This energy was, it showed me the lesson, or an image rather. I guess we have to figure out the lesson of, like, okay, sometimes I have all the fire. Like, I'll have like 12 lighters. And then sometimes I'm like, I have no fire. And I'm like, where is my fire? And that's kind of what Saturn, because Saturn's in the fall, in its fall place, in Aries. So whenever it's connecting like that, it's hard to push. And I actually saw the Sun conjunct Saturn. So Aquarius in your map is something you want to pay attention to. I guess this is also just knowing yourself better, because I wrote down knowing what you need, knowing what someone, or it was either knowing what you need, maybe both, knowing what someone needs. And then I wrote down good talk. And some of you could have kind of a conversation, or conversations that are stimulating. See, there it goes again. It's like we keep dipping. It's like there has to be a little bit in this time. I guess there's a little bit of small corrections that are needed. I don't know what's up with my hair right now. I feel like I haven't had a good hair day in a while. All right, let's jump into your cards, Aries. Let's see. Shadabisha. Somebody else had this card. Pisces had this card. Oh, this is the... All right, another correction. No big deal. So someone's catching something real quick. It's easy to be like, okay... The portal, I swear to God, Pisces had this card too. That was interesting the way I just said that. I don't usually talk like that. Maybe someone else does. And then we have poise. And reveal, respect. So respect is revealed. But what's interesting, okay, so this reveal... The veal is a lamb, right? Respect the lamb? again, the lion and the lamb. That was an old Libra reading. The lion, when the lion lays down with the lamb, is when the world is at peace, right? There's no more fighting. So some way or another, this has happened or wants to happen in your life. We've been talking about this for, I'd almost say, a couple years now, where it was like, it's peacetime, Aries. We don't have to fight. We don't need to be involved with, you know, and I know it's hard sometimes. Let's do another little correction. As you are the warrior, sometimes you're going to attract challenges, but it's mostly the challenge yourself. And when one realizes that is the goal, that I heard, then it's not so concerned or stressed out by anyone else, or for some of you, everyone else. You know, one of them days. So, okay, correction. Reveal, respect. Did we say that the word veil also turned into the word veil? And that's Neptune on the ascendant too, is where it's like, now you see me, now you don't. Like, I'm here, a person can see something, but then it disappears. This also has to do with the moon, the full moon, the moon's nodes. I see specifically the north node. You have a choice right now. Small correction. It's like we have to touch something. We have to keep touching something. But just for a moment in time to keep it going. So a person doesn't have to put a lot of energy to make something be. But I guess it's kind of annoying when we have to constantly fidget with something, and because I guess we could just stop right now and figure out why it keeps doing this. Because there's obviously a reason, right? But we're just sort of like dealing with it temporarily instead of getting to the bottom of it. And I think someone has to get to the bottom of it, or at least I saw someone's bare feet on the earth. It's because you have this card of, I'm seeing this as sort of two doors. It's like, here's a portal, here's a portal. You have two portals. Both of them seem good to me, but you have this card of poise that speaks of being poised in a choice, which means I suppose it's a bit of Libra, where it's like, all right, let me go over what our options are. So maybe someone just keeps getting distracted. I mean, you don't have to rush this. You don't have to rush, and I see you don't have to rush this choice. There are also two people here that have a lot of, that people that have respect betwixt them, between them, and there's some kind of protection around that, so that nothing invasive can or low, I don't know if I want to call it low vibe. It's I guess this is the annoying things are at bay. And the more poised a person is in themselves, I guess that reveals respect to that which is around you, but also kind of just keeps your energy, because these are patient choices. But one of these portals is like fast, and the other one, a storm by the sea? I almost feel as if this portal is, I heard, is more suiting. Because it's inviting. Taurus's reading talked about these two paths too, or these are two doors, right? Two gates. We talked about this on Patreon, oh my gosh, 5 years now ago. So I wonder if we're tapping into 5 years ago? The good parts of it. Because if we can blend the two, then we're talking about this portal or this door that opens the power of healing. So if someone thinks there's a quick fix, oh my God, sorry about that. There are so many overlaps, Aries, to Taurus's reading. I really suggest that as an extended. I'm not doing an extended over on Patreon. We're just doing it our normal way, where you go into the other, you pick up the Taurus telephone and they'll tell you some things, right? But in ways of this choice, I'll give you a little synopsis. It's like in their reading, there was the devil and there was justice. So there was our karma to gain and to work through. It's not always an easy path, but and then there's the devil, which has no integrity. And it's kind of like the fast track, right? Like, oh, I want enlightenment, I'm going to take ayahuasca. No diss, just saying, like, it can help. These fast tracks can help us, but we still have to go back over, like comb it again, you know? So if you're considering choices right now that are big to you, now and more like near future now, say the next year or two, then please go to Taurus's reading, because I really feel like it will give you indication to what's important here. Because as we move forward, we have, and I hope I'm staying in line, but I had to piece this reading together. So we have Urashada, which is the invincible one. It's basically Ganesh. We have the card of offering and the card of authority. So you're gaining some sort of promotion, or like once you go through the door, and I don't feel like, again, that there's necessarily a wrong door, but this one seems more suiting. That's coming from this perspective. You are your own person, you decide, right? And we'll get into the future where the you, meaning I, the individual self, is also learning to choose more as a we as well with certain situations. But you got to know what you want. Because to me, Aries, like, no one can make an Aries do anything. No one can push an Aries through this door or that door. Aries only does what they want. That's why some people think that you're selfish or you're brash, but you're not. You want to be aware of what you want now, because sometimes the past can interfere with your present forward momentum in a emotional, subconscious way. Okay. You know what I mean? So an offering of authority. Yeah, some of you are going to get promoted. Somebody's going to, they look to you. This Urashada is 26 Sag to 10 degrees Capricorn. We have Sun energy, Jupiter energy, which is expansion and authority. Really, authority is the sun. And then we have Saturn, which I guess to have this kind of authority, one would have to realize that they can't do certain things to have this kind of, again, authority or responsibility. Responsibility is actually one of the cards, the words for this card, and I always tend to group it with the word success, responsibility. Because of your studying, because of your learnedness, the truths that you've gained in yourself, this is also helping your success as well. And I feel like there's power behind. I heard someone saying I will, and there was power behind it, meaning confidence. But what's interesting is it isn't brash. We have this card of soft breeze. It's like I will. It's definitive in its feeling. So if you were offered something of a higher position, then please take it. Please know that you are worthy of that. I mean, could even just be a compliment, but I actually see this as more of a contractual kind of thing. Okay. Let's keep moving. So we have Swati is your next moon mansion. Scorpio had this card with the card of transparent, which is beautiful, a bunch of hearts, and then two people holding hands. So there's a lot of love there. And then, it's interesting, this card doesn't want to get up. And then we have stress in the reverse. So there could be a conversation, especially Aries rising, that's something you've been keeping inside or something you've been thinking about. Maybe conversations you've had with others or with your spouse, but now you're going to have the conversation with them. If that's the case, I heard remember to use I statements versus you statements. And check in where you can kind of, maybe this is just in your life right now, where you have moved or can move in yourself the I of me to us and we. Because some of you could also be preparing for a relationship or deeper relationships. I mean, this can be romantic, but it also is just love in general. That which you were holding hands with as we walk in this life. And being overly independent is not a good partner. Being independent, assertive is a great tribe member. That's an awesome partner. But overly independent, we have to stay flexible and adaptable and sensitive to an extent of what we're connected to, because I heard sometimes that causes unnecessary stress when we don't put that in check. Some of you have also had I don't know, somebody in the relationship has had a lot of verbal abuse or a lot of shit talking before, or where people had to walk on eggshells. They always felt like they were getting shot down every time they tried to grow. It's like they get stepped on. There's something shifting, or I see for a lot of you this is already shifted because stress is in, the shark is in the reverse. It's because you also have this card of heaven, yeah. Heaven, yeah. Right? It's not hell, yeah. It's heaven, yeah. And I think that's the thing. Is I heard I know how to speak up for myself now without being an asshole. I know how to communicate, turn that knob of communicating how I feel a little at a time so that I don't explode, right? I'm no longer, even if you're the one that's got a good handle on that, you as Aries are going to attract your shadow so hardcore. All the fire does. Particularly, it's interesting because if you think about it, when there's a fire, that's going to cast all these, it's mostly shadow, right? So right now I see beautiful relationships that don't have a bunch of stress in them, that a person and people are like heaven, yeah. Like it's almost like where a person realizes like, oh, this is what it's supposed to feel like. This is what it's supposed to feel like. It doesn't have to constantly be a struggle. No. Does it have stress? Sometimes. But people are also being transparent about that kind of thing if it gets to a certain point before it builds up. You know? So if for some reason there's a conversation that you're kind of been annoyed with or dissatisfied with and you need to have that kind of conversation, then I saw someone recording themselves or watching themselves in the mirror and then seeing, it's more about the hearing though, I think. We'll go with the first thing I saw is someone recorded themselves and then listened, like said what they wanted to say to that person and then listened back. Just to make sure that it was the energy that was coming from behind it had this soft breeze. You know what I mean? Because heaven, yeah, it to me is basically where like, I'm not worried about anything. So you went to ask for that raise and they didn't want to give it to you. It'd be like, okay. And then from there, a person would figure out whether they'd want to stay there or go somewhere else, because you got to know what you're worth. But that's just an example. That's not what I actually ultimately see here for all of you, especially with this offering with authority. Oh, interesting. Offering authority could be a part of this lesson of Swati too, which in ways of relationships is kind of like, I heard I'm offering what I have or what I know. So sometimes the people in your relationships, it's actually pretty equal right now. If it's really tilty in some way, then there's something, I guess there'd just be something off that needs to be discussed. But I honestly feel like your relationships are pretty balanced, and that might be what makes the fire, like we talked about, kind of go out a little. Right? Because friction is how you make fire. Right? It's how you make heat. Right? My hands are cold. I'm gonna frictionally rub them together and create so other people respect your authority, Aries, and they want you to step into that role occasion, like when necessary, I guess. If you're the feminine, most of you are here, and especially being a feminine Aries, not that you need to diminish your power, but learning to allow things to happen and learning to receive is so big. I mean, man or woman, but it's particularly if you're feminine, you gotta learn to submit a little bit. Well, I guess, yeah, that doesn't matter either, does it? That's a human thing, I guess. Someone is also letting, like, if anybody was trying to, I don't see it as talking shit, but sometimes Knave of Swords. Yeah, because I actually see a lot of people talking about you. And the majority of it is like, oh, they are so awesome. Like, I want them to grow. Like, I support them. They're High Priestess. And if there's anybody that doesn't like you, Aries, remember that that's when you're actually probably doing really good with yourself. Occasionally, there's somebody that it's like when you really make that right decision, there's going to be an enemy there that's going to try. And I don't know, I don't feel like this is happening now. It's more like a life lesson. It's like when you make I don't think you have to, let me back up. You don't, dang it, we're getting so excited. Ace of Cups. When you learn to love yourself, and decide that life can be peaceful, even if that means at times you got to go at it alone, right? This Independent card, it's generally, I feel like if you went back in time, you would realize that there was always like an enemy there, right? Somebody trying to loop you back into the cage, or see if you want to deal with that challenge again. And it's just like, no, I heard my life is not a war field, a battlefield, right? Love is not a battlefield. I heard this toxic cycle I will end. Ace of Cups and the Magician. Apparently what we just said there's a magic prayer. Maybe that's what some of you asked for. And I heard, and now many of you are there. And I congratulate you for that. How awesome is it to not feel stressed out? Right? 3 of Cups, 6 of Wands is heaven, yeah. Heaven, yeah. People do want what you have, Aries. Yeah, Ace of Wands and the Emperor. Yes. You're going to get your energy back too, especially, and you know what, I guess a part of this is a slowdown energy. If any of you have strong Gemini, they recorded on the same day and they talked a lot about that. So Gemini and Taurus. Which again is like loving thoughts. It's loving communication. It's creative communication. I saw where someone was a soldier and they were like in their platoon or what have you, and someone was just doing what they needed to do, the best that they could do. Well, again, they end up becoming promoted, but there was something in a person when they were like, but I don't want to leave these people behind. It's like, well, what about, but you get this opportunity, so there may be an opportunity that takes you further than you think, than you planned on. Okay? King of Wands. So be open to it. If you're involved, dating, married, etc., this could also be where 7 of Coins. I feel like people are in like a friendly zone or in friend zone. It'd be beneficial to hang out with friends. Maybe you want to go on a double date or a triple date. It might be fun to just Go do something. 8 of Wands in the Chariot. People are coming to you. There's a wind to your back. And when the wind is in your face, Aries, oh, it's 11:11, cool. When the wind is to your face, it's a soft breeze. And it's like when the sun is hot and you get this a little bit of, you know, little perspiration and you get that soft breeze and you're like, oh, that feels so good. Hierophant. Okay. I'm going to leave that like that. I hope this was helpful, Aries. Remember, this is your opposite season. So take it. The energy is about building within. You know what I mean? You can still do getting things done, but it may feel a little, I don't know, maybe a little heavy. So make sure you're taking care of yourself too. That's some good authority, especially being in charge of your own stress, right? Yeah. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Peace. Hi, Aries. All right, I don't remember what we were talking about. So to close this out, remember how we had to keep touching it to keep the darkness away, connecting with something to keep the darkness away, or the shutting down of things. Well, lo and behold, my device was basically like, hey, your storage is full. I'm not even going to continue this at all. And so I had to go in there, and when I did, I basically had to go through all of my photos, which I already have backed up, but I like to have things in multiple places of being backed up that I find important to me in this invisible, weird world. Long story short, I ended up going through like these old photos and these older places. So maybe this is something for you that could be very helpful, even in your cell phone. Like maybe there's some old pictures that you don't need anymore. That maybe there's some old paperwork or old bins or things. If you can do it in a physical way, try. And it's interesting because in this digital world, it was very emotional. I mean, it wasn't the same energy exactly as like holding on to a photograph of something, but being able to even use the sense of seeing it and then being like, I don't need this. I don't know. I just wanted to come on and share and say sorry for it cutting off again. It's just, and I'm assuming and hoping that this will actually fix whatever that sort of bit of over adjustment that was happening. I hope this makes sense. All right, I love you. Peace.